Hi, welcome to another episode. Today I am here to speak on the spiritual awakening process. Now, for those of you that are watching that are either curious about what that is, or you find yourself in the middle of a spiritual awakening, but it's not all of the love and light and happiness that you were expecting, right? Typically when the term spiritual awakening is uttered, people often associate it with happy feelings and life is much better. You're a lot more peaceful. You are just loving and non-judgmental towards everybody, and that is just not the case. Coming up on a year now of being on the spiritual awakening journey myself, there's a lot of heaviness attached to it. And to be honest, you might find yourself more depressed, more confused, more anxious, more sad, more... I hope that this isn't the case for some of you guys, but this is pretty typical when it comes to the spiritual awakening process. You might even start having more suicidal thoughts than you used to. And just so you know, if you're starting to feel this, if you start to feel as though your depression has gotten a lot worse, or that your life is starting to spiral out of control, your finances are getting worse, money is becoming more scarce, you might find that you're starting to isolate yourself from other people. Trust me when I tell you that those are just normal symptoms. But they are very temporary symptoms. Is there a definite timeline as to when these symptoms will disappear? No. A spiritual awakening can take a year, it could take 2 years. It only takes as long as is necessary. But I just wanted to go ahead and clear that up for the people that are watching or listening to this right now, because there's a lot of confusion associated with the term spiritual awakening. And the term spiritual awakening is often a new age term. And you guys have probably seen some of these new age gurus that are trying to be love and light and peaceful with everybody, and they're just Zen 24/7. They're wearing weird clothing with colors on them. They're sitting down and meditating for hours. They have they're surrounded with a bunch of crystals in their living room, and that's just not it doesn't really, it's not realistic. And that's my... I often look at New Age spirituality the same way that I look at religion now. There's just a bunch of terminology and actions that are required, steps that you have to take, and these weird rituals that you have to do. And that's why I often say that it is so much better to be in the middle, because when you are in the middle, when you would consider yourself to be just spiritual, if you consider yourself to be anything at all, that is where you can find the most balance. And I don't know. I have a really hard time keeping track of my videos, so I apologize if I'm being redundant. I probably have made an episode like this in the past, but there are probably a few things that I really need to make clear when it comes to the term spiritual awakening. I wouldn't even call it a spiritual awakening process, because the word process assumes that you're working at something, or that or that you're getting better, or that you're become or that you're becoming, that you're just all of a sudden becoming this spiritually enlightened guru, when really the spiritual awakening, if you even want to call it that, is just part of the process that you have to go through, assuming that you are aware enough and that you actually want to change. And if that's you, and that's the reason why you're watching this video, well then consider yourself to be in the low 5% of people that are actually doing that right now. I wish I could say that it's more than that, but unfortunately there's a whole lot of people on this planet that they're just not getting it yet. And I'm not saying this to shame anybody or to put anybody down, because that's just part of the journey that they're on right now. Maybe right now they're meant to be asleep. Maybe right now they're meant to be brainwashed and confused and trying to fall in lockstep with what they think the rest of society wants from them. That's just part of their process. So trust when I say that this isn't coming from a place of judgment or hate against anybody, because I've been there myself. I was there from the age of 3 years old all the way up until I was 32, 33 years old. And I've probably said this before too. Trying to deconstruct from 30 years of subconscious programming is really, really, really hard. So I say that to say that if you find yourself in the middle of this awakening process right now, but you've had years, if not decades worth of blocks and trauma, just know that you are right where you need to be right now, and it's just going to take time for you to eventually balance things out. And eventually you'll get to a point, and I'll get to a point where I can start to be a lot more peaceful and non-reactive and loving towards myself and everybody around me. But if you find that you're not there yet, I just want to go ahead and give you and just reassure you that almost everybody is struggling with that right now, including me. I'm on this spiritual journey just as much as anybody else. It doesn't make me the chosen one, or spiritually enlightened, or or even that I'm going through a so-called spiritual awakening process. Again, those are just new age terms that don't really have anything to do with spirituality, your connection to God, your connection to the universe, your connection to yourself, your connection to nature, your connection to the people around you. Has absolutely nothing to do with it. are does New Age have some very helpful tools to help you along your journey? Yeah, sure. Just like religion can provide you with those exact same tools. You know, I'll even say this, that even though I wouldn't consider myself to be a Christian anymore per se, there's still a lot of aspects of Christianity that I still hold near and dear to my heart. And if you really, if you're a Christian or were a Christian and you've read the Bible, the more spiritual you are, the more that you can start to read between the lines of the passages that you're reading in the Bible. And even though I don't really put the Bible as much, I don't really put the Bible on this pedestal like I used to, there's still hidden meanings behind every text that point to who God is and what the universe is and how it operates. And plus, for me personally, Christianity was sort of like the pipeline to my current spiritual journey. Without Christianity or any kind of knowledge of God whatsoever, then I would have never found these spiritual teachings, or have found my way in the world as a spiritual being. Christianity was sort of like the starting point for me. So just know that when I'm making these videos, I'm not doing it to try to disparage anybody that's Christian or that's religious in general, or to even say that all Christians are bad people, because they're not. I've met some really awesome people going to church and, going to retreats, going to small group meetings, working at a church at one point in time. I met some really amazing, just overall great people. But, at some point in my life, I just decided that it just didn't align with me anymore. And I needed something new. And I still have a relationship with God. I still have a relationship with Jesus, but it's just not under the guise of Christianity anymore. So that's what the spiritual awakening process is, if there even is such a thing. You will go through a lot of hardship. You will go through a lot of depression and anxiety, suicidal thoughts, and all those other fun things. And it's necessary, because by going through all these rough emotions and these uncomfortable feelings, you'll start to open yourself up to certain blocks or certain pain that you've been holding on to that you may not even be aware of. So those feelings and those hard times are there to help you. It's kind of a little bit what Christianity teaches, that God has to put people through obstacles and experiences in order for them to learn, right? In order for them to learn more about themselves than they ever thought that they knew. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope it brought value. If it did, share it with your friends and your family. And like I keep saying, have a great rest of your day. I love you, and I will talk to you again soon.